candidates. I am Connie Beard, Chairman of McLean County Republicans, and I'm delighted to bring to you several of our candidates that are running for the Normal Township. And as they introduce themselves and take a moment to explain to you what they want to do as your representative on the Normal Township, you'll begin to get an idea of what the different duties and the different areas of responsibility that the township has in their mandate. So that's our goal here, is to educate voters both as to the importance of the Normal Township and to the good people that are wanting your vote on April 6th. So we have with us tonight, we have the following candidates. We have for the trustee positions, we have Floyd Aper, Carl Haney, and Ray Ropp. Art Rodriguez is also a candidate for a trustee position. And we also have with us tonight Judy Hanks, who is running for the township clerk. And we have Aaron Rader, who is running for the township highway commissioner. And we have Amy Conklin, who is running for the township supervisor. So I'm going to give each of these people a few minutes to introduce themselves and tell you why they are wanting to serve and what they hope to achieve as your representative on the township council. So let me begin and invite Floyd Aper to come to the mic and share some with him.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Connie, for putting this on. My name's Floyd Aper, and I'm running for Normal Township trustee. To let you know who I am and why I'm here, I'll go with my background and why I feel I'm qualified. I was raised on a small farm, and basically there is where I got my training as far as being a conservative. And if you want something, you'll go to work and earn the money to get it. Small town, graduated from high school, wanted to play baseball in college, and went to Western Illinois University. At the end of that year, with what was going on in the world, I had tentatively signed up for the United States Air Force. The day of reporting, I thought, well, let me look, see what else is out there. And I walked over and volunteered for the draft. For some reason, I was thinking 2 years was better than 4. Went through the training and became a clerk. I had experience of typing in high school. Before departing on the journey, I married my high school sweetheart, Gail, and this month will be 55 years. I was fortunate with our parents that they allowed her, 1, to go, and 2, financed her to come to Germany, where we lived for 2 years. We were fortunate we had our son a year later, our oldest son, at Stuttgart Bad Cannstatt, where the same town that Gail's great-grandmother was born. So we're both basically 4th generation of immigrants. 2 years later, in 3 months, I was in the Illinois State Police Academy. From there, I went on the road. I was fortunate to work my full career living in the McLean County area. I worked the road for 8 years and went into investigations and became a special agent. I helped began what was called the Task Force 6 in McLean, Livingston, Kankakee, Ford, Iroquois counties. Task Force 6 was a collective organization run by me, we dealt overt, covert, you name it. We investigated it and was extremely successful. Later, I became the commander of the unit of the district, or this unit itself that covered those counties. Later, with the infinite wisdom of the department, most police departments, they went to lateral everybody, so everybody gets used to talking to whether you're plain clothes or uniform. I went back to District 6, where I commanded District 6 until my retirement. I retired with 26 years after the legislature, again, as many county and state and local governments think the best thing to do is offer a buyout, and I took advantage. Never works. It always catches up in 5 years, but that's a sign of government. In doing so, I immediately obtained my broker's license in real estate. Through my earlier days in career, I worked part-time, especially when I was on the road, had a family, and worked in construction, was a carpenter, half-assed plumber, what have you. And so I could not see myself on too many roofs anymore, so I got my real estate license. I enjoyed it. I love the business. Again, it's a people business. And I'm in my 29th year of serving the public as far as real estate. I had a partner. We built homes, a couple of homes, right before the fallout in 2008. So that wasn't a profitable venture. I had income property that we are slowly now dispensing with. So I've had a full life. A lot of people say, why would you be qualified? Part of the time I went to Western Illinois University in law enforcement. Once on the job, went to night school and got associate's degree through ICC. Joined later with Illinois Wesleyan in accounting, and that was short-lived because I also got sent to Waukegan, where they fired all the police officers and the state police took over the police function in that town. And I was there several months, and that's not good when you're in school. But later on, I had the opportunity to be selected to attend the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. That's a 3-month training cycle sponsored by University of Virginia. The coursework, one of the courses I took with that was collective bargaining, which later helped me because with the Illinois State Police, I was a member of the team doing the bargaining for the department. So again, going into that, I feel I'm well-rounded. I've written policy, procedure, reviewed law and books and how it applies, met a lot of great people as far as attorneys, defense attorneys, prosecutors, federal prosecutors, testified hours and hours before judges and juries, and feel that I'm qualified because my whole life has been dealing with people. And one thing you learn dealing with people in those positions is your ear is your best friend. You have to listen. You don't have to agree, but you have to listen and explain both sides. And I think going as a trustee has to listen. I think one thing we're missing is the full availability to the people. If you look at the website, the only contact you have is the supervisor. Well, I think the trustees, which are voting members, have to be available to everybody out there and let them know they're out there. And attend, there is a seniors group at the ARC, which was established by a referendum. And that has been very successful in assisting seniors. And you can join if you're 55 or above. They have an organization, and you need to be present at those meetings all the time, because those are the people that are using the facilities and see what changes need to be made. And I think I'm the person that's well-rounded. My wife said, why do you want to run for this? And I said, well, it's time. We've seen too many things going on locally, statewide, nationally, and we're getting too many people that feel they can use tax monies to be everything to everybody. I don't agree with that. There are limits, there are taxing limits, and we've got to live within our means. And that's why I'm running. And hope you vote. You can vote now, vote April 6th, but vote. Regardless of how you vote, vote. Because historically, this is a low turnout election, but it's your election. It's up to you to either vote or not, and don't complain as the results come in. Thank you very much. And again, vote.
Thank you, Floyd. We're going to move on now to our next trustee candidate, Carl Haney. Carl?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to come online and be able to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Chatham, Illinois, graduated high school from Chatham Glenwood, and then went off to the Air Force Academy. And like Floyd, I am also a veteran. Went through the Air Force Academy, got commissioned as a second lieutenant, and went off to pilot training, where I became a KC-135 pilot and flew that for 5 years. I served during and flew the aircraft during Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. After 5 years, I transitioned into the acquisitions career field with more of the technical side, with my background in science. And there, I became involved in multiple different projects, for anything from mission support to operations, as well as research and development programs, and dealt with large portfolios and many different programs with regards to those projects. I recently retired just about 1.5 years ago and moved back to Normal. My wife is from Bloomington and grew up from Bloomington. So we came back to Normal to raise our 3 rambunctious boys. And currently at this time, I'm delving into teaching them how to become very good citizens and individuals, because yes, they definitely try your patience. Why I think I would be a good trustee. I've had a multitude of leadership experiences. I've dealt with everyone from people who are just coming into the service or coming in to the office job, all the way up to national experts in their career fields. So I think I've become very adept at being able to communicate with a wide variety of audiences. I've got budget experience. As mentioned, I oversaw multiple large budgets and project portfolios. So I think I'd be very attuned to that. Much like what Floyd mentioned, I'm also very much a listener. I'm very much believe in a philosophy of you listen, you learn, and then you execute. In the sense that you listen to what people said, you try to learn all the information that you have, and then you go and take the action with the information, best information that you have. And lastly, I would say that I'm very caring. I've always had a open door policy on everyone who I led, allowing them to come in, allowing them to be able to express themselves, get to know them, understand from where they're coming from. And especially for the trustee position, I think that is going to be a very invaluable. Reason why I decided to serve is, as mentioned, I retired about 1.5 years ago. I felt the need to serve the community. I served the country for 21 years. And now that I'm able to become local and gain roots in an actual community, I wanted to get more involved. And when the opportunity presented itself to become a trustee, I jumped at the opportunity. Much like Floyd, I very much want you to go out and vote. It's a privilege that not everybody gets to have, and it's your ability to get your voice heard and for you to decide who actually gets to go out and serve you. So again, my name's Carl Haney, and I'm looking for your vote on April 6th, but more importantly, just get out and vote.
Thank you, Carl, very much. I'm going to introduce our next candidate, trustee candidate, but let me remind viewers that there is a Q&A portion to your screen, or should be, in order for you to type and write questions that you might have. Later on, after we have a chance for all of them to introduce themselves, we will field questions to the candidates and the questions from our audience. So please go ahead and feel free to do that. And right now, we're going to be privileged to hear from one of the more experienced candidates who's been already serving as trustee on our township board. It's Ray Ropp. Would you please come to the mic?
Thank you, Connie. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with all of the other candidates and hopefully many citizens of Normal Township as possible this evening. I am a lifelong resident of McLean County. Moved about 50 yards from where I was born and raised, so I haven't changed the perspective from where I was growing up at all. Little of my background, I graduated from Normal Community High School, went to the University of Illinois and graduated, went in ROTC there. Upon completion at the university, I served 6 months as an IFE, which is an international 4-H youth exchange student to India, which certainly broadens your eyes and your perspective of your country, as well as problems that other countries have in the world as well. Upon returning, I spent a couple of years in serving Uncle Sam. The last one was 13 months in Korea as a first lieutenant. Upon returning home, been actively involved in the farming operation. Happened to have a dad who had one of his many philosophies, one of them being service is the rent we pay for the space that we occupy. And he lived that philosophy, and he also drilled that same philosophy in his two sons, Gordon and I. So we've tried to serve our community in many different ways. I've had the opportunity to serve on the United Way board, serving also as a 4-H leader for over 50 years, serving and as the DeWitt McLean County Regional School Board trustee, served on numerous different agricultural organizations, both on a state and regional level. Also served as president of the Normal Rotary Club and also as District 6490 district governor, which governs about 54 different clubs in East Central Illinois. So I appreciate the leadership experience that I've had in many different entities and organizations. And I believe those experiences help train you to follow your instincts and also listen to your fellow citizens in any entity that you belong to. I believe in my responsibility in serving as a trustee. We must constantly evaluate the cost benefit of any expenditure that we have. And if the benefit justifies the expenditure, then we should do it. Otherwise, that expenditure should not be made unless we can justify it properly. I'm looking forward to serving as a trustee again. I've done it for roughly about 16 years, and hopefully that experience will help assist any board that will be made up of the trustees. Hopefully it's all Republicans here this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you. I would like to have us now move on to our candidate for the Highway Commissioner, and that is Aaron Rader. So Aaron, again, an incumbent, you have some experience already in the post, but please tell us about your desire to serve in this area.
Yeah, thank you, Connie, and thank everybody for joining tonight, and appreciate the opportunity. Like Connie said, my name is Aaron Rader. I was born on the west side of town, just across 55 from Normal West High School. Raised on the farm, and like some of the others have said, learned a lot of good qualities on the farm and work ethic, and that's come in handy throughout my whole life. So went to Normal Community West, graduated in '99. I was the first freshman class to the new school there, so went all 4 years through Normal Community West. After that, I went to Illinois Central College and went for a 2-year associate's degree for diesel power equipment technology. I got a good handle on working on machinery, and try to do a lot of the repairs and maintenance. on the trucks at the township and also on our farm equipment with my knowledge I gained there. After that, I obtained a bachelor's in ag industry management from Illinois State. And moving on, I currently live on the north side of Normal, just a couple miles from the township maintenance building off of North Town Road. I have a wife, Abby, and 2 kids, Kinsley and Cash. And so they're 8 and 10 and keeping us pretty busy right now. I work on the farm, and working on the farm, learned how to run a lot of equipment and trucks and that kind of stuff. And a lot of that, especially this winter when we had the blowing and drifting snow, we were out with the road grader, large piece of equipment, trying to get the snow pushed back as far as we can in the ditches to keep it from blowing back shut. And all of that equipment experience, you know, I learned from a young age on the farm, which is good. Also a board member on McLean County Farm Bureau, and this is my second term on there. And it's a lot of similar interest as the township. You know, they're pro township government and work a lot with different issues going on in the county with the smaller government. So it's been a good tie-in there. This, like Connie said, I'm served 2 terms, so this is coming up. It'll be the end of my 8th year as the highway commissioner, and through that, I've gained a lot of rapport with the constituents. Know a lot of them. You know, rub elbows with them as I'm out on the road and doing repairs and that kind of stuff. And they have a good working relationship. Feel like they can call me and voice issues, and every once in a while I get a pat on the back too, so that's good. But before that, my dad, Lynn Rader, was the previous road commissioner for 20 years, and for the latter part of that, I was helping him. So that's where I got a good handle on how the operations went, and that was a good start for me to get into it. So moving forward, I've got, or I guess in the past, I've completed several large projects, rebuilding roads and acquiring right-of-way, widening roads, a lot of smaller jobs too, but that's been neat to see those big projects come to fruition. And in looking in the future, I've got property purchased for a new maintenance building. The current one's in disrepair and needs a lot of work. And also on North Town Road, it's become very commercialized and hard to navigate equipment with all the traffic. So I'm looking forward to that. We're doing microsurfacing for a couple miles. Hope to have that done this year, and seal coating the tar and chip roads like we do every few years. Also looking further in the future, I'm wanting to rebuild Rader Road and our stretches from Parkside Road west to Rock Road. So those are some of the things I'm looking forward to getting accomplished in the next term. And my objective is to always seal the roads and keep the water out as we go through the freezing and thawing process. I think everybody's familiar with what that does to the roads around here. And so keeping up with them is a main part of prolonging their life. So that's been my philosophy, and we're trying to keep up with everything so we don't have the freezing and thawing effect. So I think that's it. I appreciate your vote on April 6th, and help all these other guys out too when you go to the polls.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. We are going to go ahead and move on to our candidate for township clerk, and that is Judy Hanks. So Judy, if you would open your mic and introduce yourself.
There I go. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Connie, and hi all to all the candidates, and hi to Mark. Glad to see you here, Mark Tiratelli. My name again is Judy Hanks, and I formerly come from the Champaign-Urbana area, where I grew up and married my husband. We've been married for 55 years, and I have 3 children and 9 grandchildren, so I'm a busy person. I worked at my own business. I had between 5 and 7 employees over in Champaign for 17 years. So I know how to run a business. And then upon moving 21 years ago here to Bloomington Normal, I eventually went to work for State Farm Insurance, where I worked in the auto division, and I wrote and helped train those that were in the auto end of the insurance business on that type of insurance. I also was one of the trainers for 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I did that with the leadership as well as the analysts that were there at State Farm. I retired from there 7 years ago. And upon retirement, I received my certification as a biblical counselor, which I've been doing ever since. And that keeps me very busy as well. I've been involved in politics for years. Even over at Champaign-Urbana, I was a precinct committeeman where I lived in Tolono, Illinois. And I helped with many campaigns from George H.W. Bush on down to the ones that were there. And I worked with the representatives as well as the senators that ran for Illinois. I was very active in Champaign-Urbana on their campaigns. And then upon moving to Bloomington, I became involved in the Republican Party with, at that time, John Parrott, who was the head of the Republican Party for McLean County. And he and I were very involved in many of the different campaigns that were going. So politics is heavy on my heart. My father was in World War II. My husband was in the Vietnam War. I had a couple of brothers and an uncle in the Vietnam War. And so I'm very passionate about being sure that people are safe and that people also feel like their voices are being heard. I think that one of the hardest thing that's happened for me here in Bloomington Normal is that I see that the people's voices aren't being heard. And so one time I met with the now running for mayor, Mark Tiratelli, and I told him that was my main passion, that I wanted to do what I could to see that people have so many things to say, but nobody seems to be representing them as far as allowing them and their voices to be heard. So that's probably been my number one concern and my number one thing that I wish to do in becoming involved in the township board. So thank you, Connie. Can't hear you.
Let's start by unmuting my own mic. We had a couple of technical difficulties that we overcome, but so we now have with us our other trustee candidate, Art Rodriguez. So before we go to our township supervisor candidate, I'm going to let Art come in and encourage him to open up his mic. And Art, if you would, introduce yourself to those that are listening. Go, the mic's yours. You need to unmute your mic. You look, there you are. All right, welcome, Art.
Thank you, Connie. I have my daughter, Anna, with her Rock Jersey cheese on, helping me out here. So we're going at this very well. course, I'm Art Rodriguez. I've been in the community, I don't want to say off and on, but off and on since 1961. I moved here from Detroit with my father, who was a teacher at Illinois State University. He immigrated from Cuba, the communist country Cuba, not the city of Cuba, back in 1947. So he left the country after the Batista regime and prior to the Castro fiasco. This is why Cubans vote Republican. All right, so that makes it pretty simple. Grew up here, left to go to college out in New Mexico, which is a state between Arizona and Texas, for those that don't know, and worked politically with some candidates out there, both Republican and Democrats, that were pretty conservative. You do find conservative Democrats out west. Later on, after college, I enlisted in the military, took the oath of office when the embassy in Tehran fell, and it was a very interesting scenario going to Europe and being on standby during that whole episode. Then later on came back and became a sales manager and district supervisor for Whirlpool Corporation out east, and handled the Boston and New England area. Later on, when I moved to Pennsylvania, I got tied up with a guy named Newt with a contract with America, and helped out a candidate locally in the Pennsylvania area. Scranton, I don't know if anybody's heard of Scranton, Pennsylvania, but nobody knows that other guy in the White House who's from Scranton. When you go to Scranton, you can ask about him. Nobody knows who he is. But I helped a congressman win up there, and he won by 50 votes. And basically what I did that back then was the websites for that candidate in the infancy of the internet. So he was appointed by Gingrich on the House Ways and Means Committee, which is very rare for a freshman congressman. Also got to kind of work with Arlen Specter, Mr. One Bullet Theory for the Kennedy assassinations. Never asked him about that. It would be too weird. And then just pretty much been up and down the East Coast working for, Whirlpool and another company, and then finally started my own business as a manufacturer's rep, representing 15 small companies in the metro New York area. And the most famous customer I had was Eddie Murphy. So that was pretty interesting there. And pretty much I stayed in politics, came back to Bloomington Normal, raising my daughter Anna, who's a gymnast, and pretty much enjoying it. So now I'm kind of working part-time and doing my SEO work for the internet and running for trustee. The biggest issue that kind of what I always say, the Lou Piniella effect that got me out of the dugout complaining, is the taxpayers' money are just being thrown out there with no responsibility. In the military, you're very responsible for your equipment that taxpayers pay for. And I believe taxpayers' monies are very, very precious, and they're very hard earned. But some people recklessly will sit there and say, let's give it to this organization and that organization. Well, some of these organizations aren't even located in a township, and they're nonprofits. The purpose of the township is not to aid nonprofits so that they can get endorsements from those nonprofits. It is to make the township better. We're supposed to aid the people in need. We're supposed to get these country roads fixed. I'm going to help Aaron, with those country roads out there so the drainage is good, make sure that's good. Work with people, try to keep the tax basis a little bit down so that the property taxes we pay on a $150,000 home is the same they pay in California for $500,000 homes. So we're being overtaxed. With the township and the town of Normal, there's a lot of duplication in taxes. So we need to bring some of that money back to the taxpayers and operate a lot more efficiently than we are operating today. And I want to, like I said in the last meeting, I'm going to give a little shout out here to Ray Ropp as a write-in. He's a great guy. I love him. Great cheese too. So get out there and vote for Ray and write it in. And Amy Conklin, write her in. I went to school with her two brothers. So I want to give those two shout outs out there. Be sure you write those two candidates in. It's a tough challenge for these folks, but they're great people. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Art. Yes. And we're going to move right into, last but not least, our wonderful candidate for the township supervisor, currently serving as the township clerk, but looking to do a bit more and better for the township. Amy Conklin. Amy, mic's yours.
Yeah, hi. Okay, make sure everyone can hear me. Is this okay?
A little bit louder, you'll be good.
My, okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today or tonight. And thank you, Art, for helping us all out here. So I'm Amy Conklin. I'm running for the Normal Township supervisor. And still here. I was born into the Warren and Roberta Cruz family, and I had a unique upbringing. Looking back at it, of course, during that time, I was just a kid. So my father, Warren, was an ISU coach, professor, and in the athletic department administration. And my mom was a realtor. And I had the privilege of watching them day in and day out, interacting with all sorts of different people. With my dad, saw him with his students, his players, other coaches, and then during the game, after the games, interact with the community. And then my mom, I always listened to her conversations with her clients and with the attorneys and bankers. And both of them just had high integrity. They always wanted to, obviously they were honest, and it was all about helping people to do everything they can to make things better and right. So I observed that going to, well, I lived at Horton Fieldhouse pretty much. I also went to, as Art said, I had two brothers who were also athletes. So as the youngest one, I went to all those games, ISU, U High, and Normal Community. And so going around and watching the game and everything, I learned how to interact with different kids, that I didn't go to school with. I interacted with the adults at a young age. And so I thought that was very important to see, because most kids don't see their parents working, or they don't even know what they really do, but I did, and it was a pleasure. So that developed who I was, a hard worker and high integrity. You'll always get an honest answer from me. And so then I later graduated from University High School, and then I graduated from Illinois State, met my husband Lance at Illinois State. We have raised our 3 children here, mostly in Normal. And so they all graduated from U High, and then our youngest son is finishing his senior year at U High, and he has a privilege of playing baseball at Illinois State. So it's kind of like a full circle. That's kind of how I look at how my dad started, and then he has his youngest grandson finishing up there. I am, as Connie said, I am currently the township clerk, and I'm finishing up my 8th year also, along with Aaron. So I kind of work along with, besides taking the notes at the monthly board meetings, I also kind of work alongside with the supervisor. I have to attest all the checks. I have to attest legal documents. I run the annual township meeting, which is always in April. So that will be coming up this year soon, April 13th. So it's a week, exact week after the election. And we'll be doing both the 2020 annual meeting and then 2021. So it'll be kind of a long evening to cover all that. But so I've I've been blessed to be involved in the community because I always wanted to be involved in the community, but I just never knew exactly how that would be. And a former trustee had asked me if I wanted to not replace, but a former trustee was moving out of Normal. And so they asked me to fill in for him for a few months and then to run as a township clerk. And I was not thinking it was politics. I just thought it was helping the community. And so anyway, that's how I got started. But, you know, you never know how how some paths lead. So with my other experience, I am also currently also in auto claims at State Farm, like Connie or like Judy was. So I'm in the total loss department, and I have a certain demeanor a customer through, you know, this instant change in their life. And I always have empathy for the families that it's such a, you know, more of a hardship than others. And so I always try to do my best to, you know, do whatever we can to make things better for them and make things go more smooth and everything. So I do that. So I've been doing that for a little over a year. And then to help with leading, I'm a quiet leader. I'm a listener too. I do not like talking too much. So I'm a quiet leader. I feel like it's a team effort. So my husband and I, we had a custom design and build company for 10 years. And like Floyd, we got out right before 2008. We had a feeling that things were going to change. And so the good thing is that's what we wanted to do anyway, was to get out. So we ran a business, had our employees, did payroll. I did all the custom design work for the clients, had to listen to them to what they really wanted, because I had to create, you know, a lot of people can't, or some people have a more difficult time in the 3D imagery when everything's flat. So always had to listen and try to create things that the customer was going to live, have their lifestyle, living it very comfortably and organized and everything. So my husband did the physical building. We focused on energy efficient homes as much as possible. So we used insulated concrete forms. They're very strong through any type of storm, energy efficient and quiet. And so that was interesting, getting involved in that. And then we also used geothermal heating and cooling. So the reason why I want to run for the supervisor is, one, I have a vote. I want to be able to vote on all the aspects of the township at this level on what I can. I want to work together with the citizens and with the township and any other organization or entity that we can work together. So I'm open, you know, I want to be open to everybody's ideas and opinions and everything, and we work together. Just want the normal citizen, like all of us, to just have a better life here. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. We're going to be moving into asking some questions of the candidates. I'm going to give you a moment, those of you that are listening, to get a chance to write in a question in the question and answer. And then I'll be turning it over to our moderator, Bruce Haney, who is a member of my executive board for the Blaine County Republicans. And he'll be presenting those questions to our panelists, our candidates. I want to speak, though, while we're giving you a moment to do that, I want to speak to the issue of why we are urging and needing to have voters do a write-in for both Ray Ropp as trustee and Amy Conklin as supervisor. There was an effort by the Democratic opponents to knock both of them off the ballot. I think they were very fearful about what kind of competition both Amy and Ray would bring on April 6th. And so they took every effort they could to challenge Amy and Ray being on the ballot. The first challenge was brought to a hearing, and the hearing ruled in favor of Amy and Ray staying on the ballot. But then another challenge was brought yet again on a technicality to have them removed from the ballot. And it was a technicality. It was an issue of the timing of a filing for financial disclosure, economic interest disclosure. And those documents were already on file since Amy and Ray both were currently serving in the trustee position. They had filed those documents back in April. But because there was a question of needing to refile those and in a relationship to the candidacy that they were pursuing, a question arose. And rather than allowing fair competition and choices for the voters to have on April 6th, the decision was made because of the objection filed by the Democratic opponents to knock them off the ballot. So they are qualified and I can pursue being written in as write-in candidates for both their position. So we are urging voters not to kind of make a stand for two reasons. We want these two good people to be on our ballots. And secondly, we want to send a message that being afraid of competition should not be what decides who is placed on ballots and who's not and who are not. So for Amy Conklin, you will need to write in her name in the position of supervisor. And for the position of trustee, you will need to write in Ray Ropp as one of your choices. So we're just reinforcing that with voters as we move forward to the April 6th election. The early voting has already started. You can go down to the Bloomington Center for Performing Arts and vote. You can vote on April 6th. So at your regular polling place. It's your choice, but the important thing is to get out and vote. So what we're going to do now is to open up for questions, and I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Bruce, to share what questions the listeners have asked. Bruce?
Thank you. The first question has been asked and answered on the question and answer forum, but I'll bring it up. Eric, thank you for the question about the town of Normal with a sizable unrestricted fund balance, and what would you do with it as mayor? And Mark did provide an answer online, but I'd like to give him the opportunity to share it for everyone who's not reading the Q&A.
If you don't mind, I'll wait until it's my turn. I'd like the trustee candidates to finish out their turn first, and I'll be happy to address it then.
Okay, I'll move on. There's one question directed to Floyd. Floyd, if you could answer that first, and if any others have something to chime in. In your opening remarks, you explained how you took a buyout, but then were critical of them. And the questioner was not understanding whether it sounded like you're being critical of something that you enjoyed.
Could you repeat that? I don't think I caught that whole question.
In the question, they're asking you to explain why you have a problem with buyouts if you took one. The questioner doesn't understand that it sounds like you're being critical of something that benefited you.
Oh, it did benefit me. I took advantage of it. There was a buyout 3 years prior. And at that point in time, I lost, I think, 14 officers. And without relief or without new classes coming in, when the buyout occurred 3 years later, again, we were losing top, so be it, a lot of experience, a lot of command. Again, part of my decision was that I knew there would not be a backfill of officers for at least 5 years, plus the fact we'd still be doing the same job, having the same responsibility, the same coverage area. And typically with the buyouts, over the 5-year period, you see the backfill, you'll see people getting promoted, positions being changed. So you're right back in the same situation in about 5 years. But during that period of time, you've lost a lot of experience, dedicated people, regardless of the position in government.
Thank you. I've got another question directed to Floyd, but I'm going to jump over that one from the same questioner. given the fact that the candidates all appear white and affluent and the townships are largely people of color with low income or living in poverty, how does the board approach understanding the adversities people of color face and what policies will be put in place to help the township meet the needs of its constituents? I'll start with Carl.
Thanks for the question. So I guess appearances can sometimes be deceiving. I would probably say that all of us would agree that we haven't always been as fortunate as we are now, and we come from different backgrounds, worked hard, and tried to become successful. And through hard work, we've been privileged in order to have that opportunity to have those opportunities. Myself, I come from a divorced family. I had to take assistance getting through school. My family had to resort to food banks at time in order to do that, but I was fortunate that my mother was there to assist me in ensuring that she led me the right way, that I got a good education, and that I strove to do the best that I could. And I took that opportunity and went forth and did well in school, and was lucky enough to get accepted to the Air Force Academy, which then launched the rest of my career. So although it may look that way, it's all about working hard, and all it takes is really one mentor that can totally change the direction of any person, any individual, any youth, and launch them to have a successful career and to do the best and be the best person that they can possibly be.
And if I can jump back in.
Go ahead, Floyd.
I was raised on a farm. We either raised it or grew it, and that's what we ate. We had family. We had family within traveling distance. That was our exposure to other people initially, other than school. We didn't have a lot of money to do anything more than that. I went into the service. When I got married, I was excited because my pay went up to $98 a month, living on the economy. You make do. You work hard. When I went into the state police, you work 2 jobs. At that time, you worked 9-hour shifts. You had your days off, but typically they could be separated, could be contiguous, but you worked another job to make family. I was fortunate. We had 2 sons, but that takes time, takes nurturing. And if I wasn't working, the wife was working. I worked a lot of midnight shifts to get home and take care of the kids during the day while she worked. So I'm a firm believer in you can be what you want to be, but it's dedication, it's hard work. I don't care the color of your skin, your background, it's what you're doing today to get you to tomorrow.
Thank you. Let's go to Ray.
There's also one of the other philosophies that Dad drilled into us was that Will Rogers' philosophy of I'm as good as any man alive, yet no better than any man alive. And I've lived that and tried to fulfill that philosophy as best we could. I also believe, and Martin Luther King's philosophy is that we should judge a person by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. And another thing to remember is whenever a person applies for assistance from the township, we don't ask what their color is. We just ask what is your need and what is your problem that we can assist you with. So I think that answers that question.
Thank you. How about Art?
Well, I kind of have to chuckle at that because this is the first time in McLean County I've been called white. 1962, I was called black. Being Hispanic, man, we're called everything. I mean, even the bad words. So at the age of 6, I got thrown off the bus for giving my seat to an elderly Black woman here in Bloomington. I've seen it all. I've been in the ups economically. I've been in the downs economically. My colleagues there that are veterans will tell you the same thing. We're all green. You know, we're military green. We treat people equally. I could care less what the color of your skin is. I want to know what your need is. You know, we're going to address the need and resolve it. And there shouldn't be any more questions on that. But we're not going to give away the money to everybody who comes in saying, hey, I need it. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do anything. You have to be responsible for yourself first. You know, I went to college, wasn't a rich guy going to college, went to a small college out in New Mexico. I have an alumni friend who's the offensive line coach at ISU, same college. Everybody sat there and said, well, what can you get with that small college? Well, guess what? I made it in New York. And if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And you know what? You don't have time to see the color of somebody's skin out there. You got to go, 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 go. And I'm coming back with the same philosophy. Currently, I work with a lot of veterans. I could care less what their color of skin is, what their religion is, what their sexual orientation is. That goes out the window. I want to know what your problem is, and we're going to resolve it. And that's how it has to go. With Ray Ropp, man, I've known your family since '74. They never called me any color, anything, you know, just, hey, Rod, can you swing the bat? Yes, I can. Aaron, you know I've told you this. I know your aunt, and we went to school together. She never called me any names or anything like this. And Amy, you know, I've always challenged your brothers in basketball.
Hey, my apologies, Art, but this question came in before you joined. So to be fair to the questioner, there was no, there was nothing there, and I'm sorry I didn't make that clear before I asked the question.
Well, you know, the bottom line is, I know a lot of these people, they're not racist. Don't look at our skin colors, look at our substance. And I think we can get things done, you know, and that's pretty much what I can say. Well, there's two, I'm going to reiterate again, there's two that need to write in candidates. You've got to write those two people in if we're going to make this thing happen. So Connie, I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay, I think Aaron maybe wants to respond to that. No, we're ready to move on. Anyone else raise your hand if you want to respond? Okay, next question from Shirley. Thank you, Shirley. 2 candidates have mentioned township spending they don't agree with, and she'd like specific examples. Carl, would you like to go?
I don't think I necessarily brought up township spending, but I would say that looking at past minutes and the philosophies that kind of goes through, it does bring questions to mind. And admittedly, I admit that I'm kind of naive to the township as well as to the specific spending debates that has gone on in the past. Of which I encourage anybody that wants to get me more knowledgeable on such aspects to please reach out. But I think that there are some things that have occurred that could be suspect with regards to the way spending has occurred, such as the importance of the grants and what exactly grants are going towards. Such as seeing how the percentage, the importance of the ARC and seeing how much it's needed for the community, but yet seeing how little it's actually bringing in beyond just the normal township. So aspects like that, I would love to see the ARC become much more sustainable. And I think as important as the ARC is, that is very doable, but it definitely requires work in order to do that. And with that said, that's one of my big things is to revitalize and enhance the ARC once we're able to get everything fully open.
Ray, do you have any specifics?
Well, this is a question that we go over regularly as to the cost of being a member of ARC. And we have to evaluate the need of the people, the finances of many of our membership, plus what the ability that we can try to reduce that debt as much as possible. So those are things that we constantly have to evaluate, in my mind, as a cost-benefit relationship, which we mentioned earlier. There's basically nothing that we do for the roads and for our guy who tax assessor. Those guys work pretty much on their own budgets, and what we're concerned with them is that the job gets done as efficiently as possible, and that we're amazed at the job that our road commissioner does. He does a fantastic job. Our tax assessor is usually right on the money whenever there are objections to what he does, and so we are very blessed to have two competent people in those two positions. Again, one of our biggest expenditures is ARC. We started that many years ago when it was still located on the ISSCS campus. And when the current facility became available, it took a lot of discussion to determine whether we would benefit by the investment in that facility. And since we have over 4,000 members now, it seems to be a pretty popular decision. But it doesn't pay for itself yet. So we have to constantly, and I'm sure when these board members get elected, that we will evaluate our cost structure and our income structure to see if we can improve, enhance, and strengthen the ability to pay for that facility.
Okay, thank you. Floyd, any expenses that you don't agree with, specifics? Floyd, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
On that same question, we're looking for specific examples of spending you don't agree with.
Okay, I was looking at the time. One of the things I'm looking at, one is the ARC. I haven't seen the budget for that to take a look at it, or where it's at on the proposed budget for this next year. Secondly, the law states that the township has three functions. That's general assistance, which we talked about, property assessments, and road and bridge maintenance in the township. The fuzzy part comes into where it is general assistance. There's two types of assistance outlined on the page. But the funny thing is, if you read the website, it says that we function with assistance to those in need and our partners. Now, what are our partners? They're nonprofits that we're giving grants to. And it's funny because if you run down, I think, some of these, that not only township, and God love, it's a noble cause, but the township, that's taxpayer money that we're supporting nonprofits. Is that what our tax money is for? We see it in the town of Normal, that they're giving money for this, that, and what have you. You've seen it in the new pork coming out. Again, the Kennedy Center is getting what, 26 million, which they got 20 some million last year. Is that the responsibility of the township? And it again, too many people oftentimes say it's only a small portion of the budget. My dad taught me early on, watch the pennies. The dollars will take care of themselves.
Okay, any other responses there? Okay, Connie, are we able to move to the question for Mark now?
Well, I think what we're going to do is to go ahead and let the town council people wrap up, and then we'll allow Mark to come on and share with us his vision as serving as mayor. So let me go back and give each of our township candidates a minute, 1 minute, and wrap up any thoughts or ideas that they hadn't been able to share yet. And we'll close out this portion of our forum and then move into discussing the position of normal mayor race. All right. So
For
let me
those of
begin.
you, for those of you who have asked a question I haven't addressed yet, in interest of time, we're moving on here, but these questions are going to be available to the candidates after the forum, and they'll be able to answer them publicly. And I do thank you for your questions.
Yes, it always is that challenge of knowing when's too much time and when's not enough time. So we're on the option of moving to having just the right amount of time. Let me invite first for Floyd to come back and give us a wrap up, and then we'll move on.
Okay, quickly. One, I believe I'm qualified. Again, I've owned my own real estate business. I think the good Lord was tapping me on the shoulder and said, it's time to move forward. I merged with another company. We lost our youngest son 6 months later. We've been through tragedy. We've been through need. If you see my wife, Gail, congratulate her on 55 years with this person. She's given us 2 great sons, 7 grandchildren, 1 great grandchildren to be 2 in May, and expecting a brother or sister there. So it's gracious. The good Lord has watched over. We've been fortunate very, very much our whole lives. Mine has been communication. What I hope everybody listens to this is that the township election is a partisan election. It's the only one on the ballot. The others are quote unquote nonpartisan, which you can put that in your hat and smoke it. But we are partisan. On the ballot, you will see the candidates. The Normal Township, the trustee or the supervisor has a vote, and the trustees have a vote. So that's basically 5 votes. The assessor and the highway maintenance, they don't vote. The clerk doesn't vote. So it's important, if you're looking at philosophy, what you want to see in a government entity. A lot of people don't even realize what the Normal Township is. We're here to educate you. One of the things, if you go on the website and want to communicate, you communicate with the supervisor. You don't even have the trustees listed or the contact information. We need to be out there. We need to be available so you can reach us. So this is a critical election on how you wish to go forward. As a Republican for many, many years, I'm sitting on the McLean County Board for at least 12 or 16 years. I believe we are conservative. We work for the people. And you're going to be receiving a postcard here in a couple of days that again outlines who's running and why you need to write in votes. You can take that postcard with you to the ballot box and use it to put in the write-in information. Or you can ask the judge sitting there, I would like a copy of the names of the write-in people, and they will have it available for you. But write in the names. We need them. We need this slate today. Vote. Don't sit at home. Vote. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, Floyd. Let's move to Carl. Carl?
I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to come on and introduce myself to everybody. I know I'm relatively new to town, and along those lines, getting out and amongst everybody, lots of questions. First of which is, what do you stand for? And things which I want to try to accomplish. First and foremost, I want to revitalize and enhance the ARC. It's a great service. It's a great facility. And I want to ensure that once everything opens up, that it gets back to being utilized. Next item is a thorough and thoughtful allocation of taxpayer money. And as Floyd kind of mentioned, it's the taxpayer money that the trustees and the supervisors are given, and we need to be good stewards of that money and to not even be able to actually entrust us with that. I gave recently an analogy, if I decide to buy a new car and go out and crash it, well, that's one thing. But if I decide to go out and crash someone else's car who was so kind as to loan it to me, that's just morally wrong. And that's very much how I kind of feel with given the opportunity to spend that taxpayer money. Thirdly, and I think it's also something Floyd alluded to, is most people don't understand what the township role is. 3 primary roles: property assessment, the rural maintenance, rural road maintenance and bridges, and general assessments. So along that lines, all of us have the opportunity and need to go out and make sure people are aware of that capability out there. And ultimately, what I want to ensure is that the township money serves the township. So it's our money. We need to ensure that we are using it to serve all of us in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. I'm going to ask Art to open his mic up and give us a 1-minute summation. Go ahead, Art.
All right, I'll make it short and sweet. Today I found out that there is a Russian cartoon that the song starts with the word Tiratilli. So Mark, there is one for you. I knew that would bring you back, buddy. The biggest thing, you know, we've heard about the 3 things that townships have to do. One dangerous thing government can do that's very dangerous to the taxpayer, more dangerous than anything else, is called corporate welfare. And a lot of time governments get caught up in that, calling it general assistance. Corporate welfare is very, very dangerous. And this community has done this at all levels. The state is doing it at all levels. If your community has its ducks lined up, it's going to draw the business. If it's going to be friendly for business, they're going to come. The township can be friendly, but right now with the hostile environments we have at the state level, it's not going to happen. So we have to really watch what we're doing, particularly this coming 3rd and 4th quarter. We're going to see the foreclosures going through the roof, repossessions of vehicles coming through the roof. We can't be throwing money out there to put 2 water lines to one location, you know. So, I mean, this is going to be another subject for later on. But, you know, I want to thank everybody that's participating. God bless them. You know, I'm working with good people. I hope everybody gets in. And I'm going to yield my time to the 2 write-in candidates, Amy and Ray, and go get them.
All right. Thank you, Art. Ray, the microphone's yours. Wrap it up.
I want to thank Art, Floyd, and you, Connie, for reminding people that they have to write in our names to be on the ballot. I didn't realize until recently that the opposition political party was so cutthroat as they are, and it opened my eyes. Being a farmer, businessman, and a man of experience on the board, I think I bring those 3 perspectives that no one else can bring to from either party. And so I think that is important to remember, that we have people of all backgrounds participate in the political process of our community. And also I want to point out another bit of philosophy. We're kind of hitting these kind of hard tonight, but that of Rotary International, and that is service above self. And that's what we've dedicated our lives to. Our family's done that, and we hope to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Let me move to Aaron Rader for our road commissioner candidate. Aaron?
Yeah, thanks, Connie. I just been great getting to know the rest of the lineup here, the trustees and the clerk, and working with Amy and Ray on the board for several years now. I think we got a good conservative lineup, and we'll really be watching fiscally what's going on, and trying to get the most bang for the buck and for the constituents. And everyone's very service oriented and in the community, a lot of different aspects. So that's great. And I think we got a lot to offer here. And I've enjoyed working as the road commissioner for the last several years. And I'm looking forward to keeping going with it and serving the community. And it's been a great fit for me and the talents that I was blessed with. So get out and vote on April 6th or before. And don't forget, like everybody's echoing, to write in Amy and Ray. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. All right, Judy, you're up, please. Yeah, open your mic. There you are.
Well, I am not going to be able to be a voting member, but being a Christian woman who serves through my ministry of counseling so many hurting people, I know what it is to have hurting people and what to do to assist them. And I feel like that when Stan Nord called me and asked me if I would be a part of this fabulous ticket of people that you see before you, I thought, how can I best be of service? And assisting them as clerk, I thought would be the best way of doing it. And I feel like also that I have a lot of experience, though I won't have a voice to vote. I do believe I have a voice of service and a voice of understanding and listening. And I will definitely be that kind of person that anybody can come and talk to me. And I would take it to those that are you see in front of you and represent the township of Normal, Illinois.
All right. Thank you, Judy. Last but not least, our candidate for Township Supervisor, Amy.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And I'm also very grateful in, have been working with Ray Rupp and Aaron Rader, and then also Rob Cranston for the past several years. I'm always learning new things, and I like learning new things, and they're just great people. And I have really enjoyed meeting everyone else of the Republican nominees. I just think these people are all just have so much life experience and a lot of heart. I think we would make a great team. And I know that there's a lot of details that we would have to, look at constantly. But I think this would be a great team. And I know I could be a great leader. We're compassionate and want to, always be there for the community. So we'll just constantly be updating everything as much as possible to make everything better. So please vote, and appreciate everybody. Thanks.